So when you first put it on, this is going to be your home screen. It's letting us know that we do have jacks down right now because my front jacks are down. All right, I'm gonna cycle through each mode, explain each mode, and then we'll automatically level it. It'll tell you your battery voltage. When you're operating this, the leveling system, your battery voltage has to be either at 12 or above it. If it's below it, below 12, this will not operate. All right. It'll tell you your rear, stroke, and all the stroke is the amount of times that it counts that that jack has came down. All right. So notice how the rear is 0.2, and then when we go to front, it's 1.7, and that's because the jacks are down. It'll tell you your tilt and angle, front to back and side to side. You have auto retract rear, enter to begin. If you ever wanted to enter one of these modes, you actually have to hit enter in order to enter that mode. Now imagine if my rear jacks were down and I would click enter on that, it would automatically retract just my rear jacks only. Okay. All right. It'll also bring up the middle ones too as well. Do you have middle?
I don't think it does.
No, you only have the 4 points.
It's 4 points.
So it'll just bring up the rears. Then you have auto retract all, enter to begin. The only time you ever want to click enter to begin on that is once it's on the vehicle. All right. If you accidentally hit that enter to begin on that, I'm gonna show you how to abort that function. So let's say I hit enter. If I hit enter again real quick, it'll panic stop.
Okay.
It says panic stop, function aborted. Press enter to acknowledge. So I press enter to acknowledge, boom, it'll bring me back to my home screen. So if by any chance, if you accidentally hit that, you pretty much, all you have to do is hit any button on there and it'll panic stop. All right. Then you have manual mode, hit enter to begin on that, and that's manually controlling each jack by itself. Just letting you know, you do not necessarily have to be on manual mode in order to operate. You could be on the home screen and you still can retract or even extend your front jacks or any other jacks without having to go to the manual mode. Just saving you time and effort. Then you have auto reconnect, enter to begin. Auto reconnect is like a hitch height memory. Okay. So when we hit you up today, it's actually going to remember that. And all you'd have to do is scroll down to auto reconnect, hit enter to begin. It'll drop it in that same position and allow you to just back right up to it. The only downfall about that is anytime you manually extend or manually retract your front jacks, it completely loses that. Okay. And then it'll resynchronize itself for the next time that you hitch up. But if it does lose that memory and you hit auto reconnect, enter to begin, it'll get it in the general area where you need to be in, and then at that point you have to manually extend or manually retract your jacks to get it on the vehicle. All right. Then you have drop front jacks, enter to begin. So imagine you're backed in at the campsite. This is our campsite right now. Okay. We're still hooked into the vehicle. We're still on the vehicle. None of my jacks are down. The first thing I want to do first is I want to pull my pin out right here and drop my legs, my foot pads, to about roughly 10 to 11 holes. Okay. That is the recommended hole length that you need to be at, 10 to 11. Once you get it at 10 to 11 on both sides, they both need to be exact same on either side. Then at that point, we can come here, scroll through our menu, go to drop front jacks, enter to begin, hit enter, and it's gonna drop the front jacks just to where they touch the ground. And it will firm them up a bit, but at that point, it's not gonna raise it to where it gets the vehicle off the ground or anything like that, all right? And then at that point, in order to get it off the vehicle, you would manually extend your front jacks just enough to where you see the hitch and the camper kind of wiggle within each other. And then at that point, that's letting you know that you're clear to pull off. All right. Then back to the home screen.
You got all that? Yep, right here.
All right, so right now we're gonna go ahead and auto level it. Push up a button, it'll do its thing. Just letting you know, it actually prefers that the slide rooms are in when you do this. Gotcha. It's not that big of a deal if they're out. It's just doing a little bit more configurations for the slide rooms being in and out, all right? If you have anybody inside when you're auto leveling, they either need to sit down, stand completely still, or exit the recreational vehicle. because every little movement is sitting there configuring for that. So first things first, what it's going to do is going to operate the front jacks, get that fairly level to where it thinks it needs to be. Once it gets that where it needs to be, then it's going to drop the rear jacks. Once it drops the rear jacks, then it's going to get the rear where it needs to be, and then it's going to do a slight configurations between the front and the rear. Then at that point, once the front and rear are all set, then it's going to work its way left and right. Once it gets completely done, it'll read auto level success right here on the display screen, and your green light right there in the middle will stop flashing at you. It'll be a stationary green light letting you know you're all completely done. Now, sometimes if you're on an excessive slope, so imagine if my camper was sitting like this right now. That is an excessive slope. So when you back it in at your campsite, before you get ready to drop the front jacks, just kind of take a step back and look at it and decide to yourself if you think you need to put anything underneath those jacks to kind of raise it up, to kind of help it out. All right. Now, if you're on anything other than concrete, paved concrete, gravel, sand, anything like that, you need to stick something underneath there anyways, just to give it a little bit more stability. But if you're on an excessive slope, you need to go ahead and help the leveling system out by sticking something underneath those jacks. Auto level success. Green light has stopped flashing at us.
Nice.
Boom, good to go. All right. Then your docking station.